thank you for applying and we thank you for coming in.
No, it's,
We've set aside approximately half an hour.
okay.
Not that that's necessarily enough time, but it's at least enough time to begin to get to know you.
Absolutely.
And we have somebody else coming at 5:30, just so you know that.
Should call the meeting
As you
order.
probably know, that's the ad, I think that's the exact wording of the
Yes.
ad that's out there. And the difference, there's actually 2 positions in the department, but we only ever fill one at a time. One is the clerk's position, and the other is the assistant assessor. In order to be assistant assessor, you have to have certain education within the assessing field.
Yes.
And our goal is, when we hire somebody to be clerk, which is the way we usually hire somebody, our goal is to have them gain the education so they become the assistant assessor.
Yep.
And there are 2 different levels of pay here in Granby, with obviously the clerk being a lower level of pay.
Call the meeting to order.
Excuse me?
We have to call the meeting to order.
Call to order. So I just want to give you that orientation.
Thank you.
I think the way we're going to do this is, we're going to ask you kind of questions about yourself and about your resume, and then we're going to give you time to ask any questions you want about us, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
Okay.
Wherever you want.
Not here.
Just and we are being recorded.
I saw that.
Okay, good.
What's
I was like, oh.
As
No,
part of
yeah.
the open meeting law, we are being recorded.
Now see, in Belchertown, anything to do with personnel is not required for an open meeting.
And I've had that discussion, and it's gotten heated.
I'll bet it has.
And I'm not saying I won, but the best thing I can bring to this, first and foremost, is every single applicant is going to be hit from me by knowing no one ever grows up to be an assessor. It just doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
This is a very peculiar position where you need to learn your craft. It's primarily data entry, and once you get done with data entry over a period of approximately 3 years and schooling that we endorse and pay for, you finally get a sense that the data that represents the town of Granby real estate is our data. And you move with that data from year to year, coming up with the tax base for the town of Granby. It takes approximately 3 years to learn that. A lot of the data entry we're trying to simplify. Many towns have a lot more technology than we have, and we could offer more technology, but in some senses it's not worth it to us to spend money that we're not going to recoup. And because of that, we have real estate agents that are a little disappointed in our performance. But we're a small town,
Yes.
and we're not going to get bigger,
No.
and this is the way it is. And
More decisions should be made with ROI in mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, and we do that. We've been doing that, and we do that to the extent that this board goes out and visits all the properties and inspects them. We inspect both building permits and cyclical inspections because we don't have any confidence in hiring a contractor to do it and find out that they've made errors. Over the years, Dakota is new to our board, but he's familiar, as you know, from real estate. Bill and I have been doing this for so long that we virtually know the inside of every house. There are very few houses that we are not aware of, so that we don't come across surprises very often, and we're very proud of that.
That's good. It's funny because I've told people for years, 30+ years, you know, and with Belchertown, you know, growing the way it is, as in my hometown, you know, so I've done, obviously, a ton of business here in Granby. But I would say to people, when I see you at the time at the general store, you know, we didn't have a grocery store or whatever, and I'd say to them, I just need to tell you this. This is usually on the way to closing, I tell people this. I'll say to them, when I see you at the general store, I want you to know, when you see me say hi and not say anything else, it's because I've forgotten your name.
Right.
I said, but I want you to know
You didn't forget the house.
that when I look at you, I know that you're the little yellow cape on the cul-de-sac.
Right.
And I said, because my whole focus when I'm with you is your home.
Right.
And that's exactly what I would say to them. I'd say, so please remind me of your name if it doesn't come right out of my mouth. And inevitably, I get, hey, remember me? I'm the little yellow cape on the cul-de-sac. And I told you I would remember that. I said, and your bathroom was blue when I sold you the house. I don't know what color it is now.
Right.
But I had, those are the details that you're focused with and that you remember. Like you said, you see the inside of every house. Gone by and, we do the same thing.
In your last two jobs, your
Yeah.
current one plus the one before that, can you tell me maybe two things about each job that you really like and that you think you're good at?
So I enjoy interacting with the public. I really do.
Okay.
That is, I had a job once as a comptroller. I was paid incredibly well for it. It was a position I had worked up to. Oh my God, I hated it. Please, I need the
Interaction.
Interaction. I need that. And the more varied aspects. Just an adding machine is an adding machine, human or otherwise.
Doesn't talk back to you.
But human or otherwise.
Right.
I didn't want to grow up to be an adding machine.
Right.
So, because I'd have to hit the subtraction button too much. But I enjoy that interaction in both of these positions, I have a particular skill set that I brought to them, which was, as an example, at CHD, which owns 223, properties.
That must have been pretty exciting,
Well,
to put it one way.
so here's the thing. They used to have each department, of which there are many, had its own maintenance, property management staff.
Okay.
And then they
Made your
decided
job
to
hard.
take them all and centralize them. The thing was is that the skill set of maintenance workers, and
Wasn't the same across the
foreman and
board.
stuff like that. It's great when hey, I'm just, work for this department, and I take care of these 12 houses. I work for this department, I take care of these 14 houses.
Right.
They can remember things, or they can have the paperwork, or they have very small files, or anything else. And no one had virtual files. At the time I got there, everyone had their own spreadsheet on their computer, and when they would have to bring it to a meeting, they would say, oh no, you don't have the most up-to-date one. Did you get this one? I emailed it to you then, I emailed it to you then. And after I had worked there for a little bit, I just casually went to IT, and I said, an organization this size must have a server. And they were like, of course we have a server. And I said, does property management have access to this server? They're like, of course you have access. I'm like, fabulous. Can you set that up so I can put all of the master documents so everybody has the most up-to-date thing? Then making files, for the different departments and all of their properties in there. And then, like you guys talked about, doing inspections and stuff, I would set up spreadsheets for the properties. And public housing, those kinds of things require lots of inspections. Lots of them. From, sprinklers, fire detectors, all of those, things, and certificates. And so I created the spreadsheets with the dates all in there, when each one expired, when you had to do the inspection in time to get the new certificate before it expired. And then learning how in Excel to drop an object in there so I could actually drop the certificate in there. So somebody could click on it and open it up. And everything was in one document. You didn't have to go to the rest, because when you drop an object in, it's actually just a link that brings you to where the document lives on another place, but you open it right up, it's there.
Mhm.
You can see who signed off on it, who did it, what the dates were that were signed off on it. It was just like, oh my God. You know,
Okay.
and I was very proud of being able
Putting that
to
together.
manage the merger for them on, and as far as an organizational level,
Okay.
to bringing them all so that everybody was working with the same set of data.
Okay.
Because if everybody's not working with the same set of data, you make bad decisions.
Right.
You
Okay.
make bad choices.
So you actually kind of headed that up? and-
I did.
And made it happen?
And I made it happen. But I have excellent organizational skills. And I have that kind of, I tested very well in what's called spatial relations, but it's being able to see the space everything relates to, you know, even if it's virtual project-wise, or
Okay.
my husband likes it because I always know whether or not the couch fits on that wall. You know, you only have to move it once. And at Cayman's, where I am now, again, I love the interaction and everything else, but I also love creating systems and organizing and making systems better. And the day the governor announced that he was shutting down the state in a week, Cayman's real estate was 100% paper and in person. 100%. Mr. Cayman, his name's Pat, he said, he was like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to have to shut down. I said, no, you're not, Pat. And then I'm going to kick your ass into the 20th century.
Yep.
You are not
Dragon.
ready.
And scream.
Dragon.
And what I said to him, and I said, you are not
Sound
ready for the
familiar?
21st century. You know, I did tell him, you are not ready for the 21st century, but I'm going to get you to the 20th. And we're, you know, and this is what we're going to do. And, you know, I just got the IT guy in, set up a drive for us to store things in, called the thing, made online forms that could be filled out to apply, get everything done, and working remotely, and doing it all. And this,
Dragging him along with you.
but well, he will say it was definitely that he knows it's got a long way to go, but it was the kick in the butt he needed.
Right.
And he's a young man. He's not as young as you. He's 52, but that to me, that's young.
Well, that's how he did
Yeah.
business. That's how he did business.
But he should know. Well, it was his parents' business, so it's the only thing he ever knew. He did it exactly the way his parents did.
Right.
And I just taught him how to take their system and make it be virtual. It didn't have to be on paper. Could still check all those boxes of your 7-point system, but they would, you know, be in the cloud rather than on this piece of paper. And it worked out well. And for the first time in 5 years, during a pandemic, working from home, where half the staff quit, they just quit. Because the unemployment
Because it was cheaper.
the
You
unemployment
make
was
more money
better.
staying
They
home.
made more money staying home. And I got him 100% leased in a pandemic. And he hadn't been in 5 years. And a lot of people said, why not, you know, why aren't you leaving? You're going to make more money staying home. I said, well, first of all, I made a commitment 30-something years ago, when I decided to get into real estate in the town I lived in, you know, is I never want to have to hide behind the potato chip display because one of my clients came in. You know, I never want to have to duck from anybody. And I operated my business and my professional life around with exactly that philosophy. It's just I didn't want to do it. And
Why did you leave CHG to go to Cayman's?
much better offer money. Huge difference. And the CHD job was a part-time job. I mean, it had health benefits, but it was a
Right.
part-time
Right.
job. And
They weren't giving you the hours you were looking for.
and just everything about the King's position and the work doing was more attractive and was double the pay.
What attracted you to this job?
To this
To the assessor's
To
career
this
position?
So, my mentor in real estate was the assessor in my town, way back when. Have you had the occasion to work with Janice Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Janice was assessor in
Yes.
Belchertown.
That's funny, yeah.
Yeah, for many years. I'm sorry, I keep hitting your foot.
He's too relaxed.
And I really enjoy it, and I haven't is that organizing is what, what I do. I have a good memory and a good opinion for details. And we were just, it suits my skill set. It's very local at home. I kind of always wanted. I know nobody grows up to be an assessor, but I used to talk with people.
Nobody.
But I used to talk to people about this all the time. And when you would go and the first thing a buyer's going to say is, oh my God, they want 300. It's only assessed at, 240. And then now you're explaining the difference between assessed value, and whatnot nowadays with market value is just throw something up in the air and watch what happens, I guess is all you can do. But like explaining, like you were talking about ROI, return on investment, like with your software thing. And I would have people say, well, if I put vinyl siding on my house, I can get $20,000 more for it. I said, no, but you'll sell it a couple weeks faster.
Exactly.
Right. Than you would without. So just like explaining the differences in property values and how they are perceived, because that's what everything is. It's about perception, and you're going to get in the end if something's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. But particularly with assessing, like I would explain to people, not being an assessor, is that this is a reflection of what has happened.
Right. Right.
Not what's happening now, or what is about to happen. It's what has happened. It is, how we're reflecting on. And it just, everything about it appealed to me, and I really felt that it suits my skill set and my desires.
Okay. Working for Jones, you obviously worked there full-time for few years, and then you worked there, part-time while you did some of these other jobs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started there when I had children.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be with them.
Yes.
And
Right.
real estate's nights and weekends.
That was back when you liked kids.
Yeah, I like them again now because they've given me a couple grandchildren. But
That's
really the only use
That's
for
the
them.
only reason.
Okay.
But they, so that was my thing. I could do my job around my kids
Yeah.
because, like I said, people will take a day off of work to get their teeth cleaned.
Yeah.
But to spend $500,000 to buy a house, nights or weekends. That's, that's when they're going to do that. So that's why, and I liked it.
Okay.
So I always did it.
Okay. That's what was kind of obvious here, but that's why
Yeah.
I'm asking you,
Yeah.
just to clarify it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what would you say the two most important things you do in your present job? And I'm not saying you like them, but what are the two things you do the most? Spend most of your time doing?
I spend most of my time updating the properties and everything else on the website,
Okay.
doing the advertising, doing all of that stuff,
Okay.
and processing applications,
Okay.
which is a multiple form process. It's not just writing out the application, landlord references, verification of income, employment, all of those kinds of things, that going into it. So I think my primary role is in sales, if you will, a leasing agent, that's a big thing,
Okay.
because that's what I was hired for.
Okay.
I developed all the tools to be able to perform that job, which led me
Yeah.
to have the other responsibilities of, the updating the website, the advertising, creating, forms,
Right.
spreadsheets.
How many people, you need to educate me, so I'm asking you to help me. How many people work at Camus Real Estate in the office area? Approximately.
So Cayman's recently acquired Crossman Properties, which is another property management company. So there are 4, 5, 6 people. He's dividing it into 2 different offices.
Okay.
So there's 6 people in the property management office and 3 people in the leasing office.
Okay.
And I work remotely.
Okay. And then there's a whole maintenance crew, which is different. Is
They're
that-
not employees,
Yes. Okay,
Contracted?
it's a contract, it's a contractor.
Okay.
okay. This office, you would be the only person in it. And just so,
Just like I am now.
just so you, I want you to be aware of that.
Yep. Well, I know the assessor's office is a staff of one.
Yeah, I don't see this office expanding to have another person part-time, only because of the size of the town. One person can manage this.
Yes, I agree with
I
you.
mean, they have for quite a while.
Eons.
Okay, I just want you to be aware of that.
Yep.
Do you have anything, Greg? I know every time you try to speak, you cut you off.
Primarily, it's 27 hours a week. We're relatively flexible on the schedule, but we answer to the town hall. Meaning, whatever we set up with our employee, we notify the town administrator, and so they put it up on the website, and we have to adhere to that schedule that we have worked out. Now, stuff comes up, certainly. The beauty of it is we have the same Monday holidays as the school has.
Right.
And as flexible as, and I just need to let you know, because I'm also letting the other applicants know, that anytime this office is empty, we have to let the town hall know, and we're a split
Yeah, we're two different
entity.
buildings, we're not one.
The select board's office and council on aging department is down the other end of town, and we have the tax collector and the town clerk and the board of health in this building with the assessor's office. And that's, you would be working with another hourly employee and 2 elected officials, which has some dynamics to it. And I just need you to be aware of that. The bulk of the work, data entry, and the bulk of the data work, unfortunately, but it's a fact, is collecting excise tax and keeping track of excise tax. We have a tremendous amount of work maintaining the excise tax that comes into the town. And our board has a goal of simplifying that, but we're not there yet. It just takes a tremendous amount of time out of your day, and I want you to be aware of that and think about whether or not you're going to be comfortable dealing with excise taxes for vehicles, because it's really remarkable, and it's so remarkable that it would be a shame for me not to mention it.
The 27 hours that Greg's talking about, how many hours this office is open to the public. We also have meetings twice a month, and you would obviously be attending those, and usually they're an hour ballpark, but you get paid for 2 hours for each meeting. And whether the meeting is a half an hour, an hour and a half, you get paid for
Say
2
an
hours.
hour to 2, depending on our agenda.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want you to be aware of that.
Thank you.
And we tend to meet on Mondays. It's just traditional. We meet, except if it's a holiday, we either go to Tuesday or the following Monday.
Right.
But it's usually Monday nights. And but it's the office in this building, if I can use the word, is open to the public for 27 hours a week.
Got it.
It's 9 to 3, and then Friday it's only open 9 to 12. So
I'm familiar with Board of Health hours.
that's the 27 hours.
Right.
Do you have questions you want to ask us?
I
Before we
think,
jump into that, I just want to add 2 more, if I could.
Please.
go ahead.
Do you plan on staying at Cayman's if you take our job offer, if you were offered the job?
No,
Okay.
no.
And where do you see yourself in the next 5 years,
We're in the next.
job-wise?
Working, not 60 hours a week.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
Is that what you're
that
doing
was the
now?
impetus for me looking.
Is that what you're doing?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And which was the reason it was so much money.
Right.
And, you know, I'm at I guess a good place in our lives.
Right.
You know,
Scaling back, okay.
my husband and I lived within our means our whole lives. And I don't need that anymore. It's a good place to be, and I really you know, the 30-ish hours a week
Right.
and being able to, you know, cut out and go and see the grandkids or enjoy some other things is.
Understood. Let me
You
just
got
say
it.
that.
Do you have any questions for us?
Oh, yeah, I thought you had 2 questions for me. Did you
I
ask
did,
them all?
but I don't
Okay.
need to ask the second one now.
We don't have much time, but yes. I'm sorry.
Couple
No,
minutes.
do you have questions you want to ask us?
I guess not really. I mean, because I'm kind of familiar, you know,
Right.
with the work. I know Granby. I know the people here, you know, in the town.
Okay.
My son does live here in town, and they're boat slip neighbors of yours. I'm like,
We'll stop there.
I know, I'm like, wow,
That's
where did
funny.
that come from? But they,
Oh, okay, yeah,
You know,
that just dinged, yes, never mind.
you just
Yes,
dinged it,
yes.
yeah. you-
Something dinged while I was in here?
or something.
The doorbell, did you get it?
Yeah. And yeah, it was weird how something came up. Yeah, it was like Ashley said, hey Dakota, and I'm going, Dakota? There are not many of them. Found out, but
True facts.
any you know, like an in-depth kind of questions I would have
Okay.
would come hopefully, you know,
Right,
yeah.
when I'm offered the position. I don't need to waste any more of your time going into
That's
details
fine.
that wouldn't matter
Okay.
if I wasn't.
Well, the purpose of this first interview is to come up with the correct expectations. We're not a wealthy office. We are required by the Personnel Board to pay a certain pay scale, and we can adjust that pay scale as the education of that person progresses, which is perfect. We pay for the schooling. Pre-COVID, we sent our clerk to UMass to school for a week every year until they got the needed certificates to be an accredited assessor, and that led to a different pay scale.
Right.
And it worked out great, and that's what we hope to do with you or whoever. But we're not a rich office. We don't compare well with other towns.
No,
By
sure.
far. By far.
Well, you know, like, as I said, it was not the money that
Right.
attracted me to this position.
Well, and I have to mention that because we are so far below other towns.
I know.
Some people might think it's not worth it.
We do have good benefits from my perspective.
Yes.
You know, in health insurance
Mhm.
and personal time, holidays, things like that.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
benefits are very comparable.
Good.
Very good.
Well, I'm a ways away from getting health insurance elsewhere, so
Okay.
Right.
that's pretty much what
Yeah.
That's,
Right.
for me,
That's not a small thing.
it's not as, well, for me, it's the thing. It much more so
Yeah.
than even the salary. It's
Right.
just the benefits, it's the steadfastness, if you will,
Right.
and
Yeah.
quite frankly,
Yeah.
I much prefer being an assessor making much below what other assessors in Granby than I would want to be an assessor, you know, in Springfield or Holyoke or, you know, even
Correct.
in Long Meadow,
Correct.
you know, making much more.
Okay.
God, no.
Doing that much more.
God, it's not even not all about doing more. You know, I'm a hard worker, I work hard. And, but
I
it's,
think that's kind of obvious from the various
Yes.
jobs
yeah,
you've had.
it's about the, you know the people in this area.
Yeah.
You know, even if I don't know them personally,
Right.
I know them.
Right.
You know, because,
And the great thing about this office is, no matter what, we always come off as helping people.
yeah.
Or you
exactly.
can't say that about every office.
You can't.
We will get back to you. I can't tell you how, it may take a couple of weeks, but we will be getting back to you.
We'll
Okay.
call you back.
We want you to know
Did
that.
you, because it was just funny, I had applied the first time this position was posted, like in May. And when I
That's a
called,
great question.
when I called, you know,
Again, to follow up.
the town hall and said, hey, you know, I applied in May, is this,
Okay, was that explained to you?
yes, it was.
Okay.
But as I said, what I more or less said is, should I bother reapplying? Like, was my application just like
No,
cost.
we don't
No.
throw away
You know,
anything.
and that's it, and she actually said that she didn't recall receiving it, and that there was only 2
You
people.
sent it here.
That apply, yes.
You were in the plan. I was actually, you sent it and the following week I was to follow up with you.
Yeah.
So you beat me.
I was like, wow, that's really bizarre.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, you did.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
you
she
said.
did explain to me that somebody was gonna be leaving, didn't leave,
Yes.
came back. I said, well, I still want this job. So I said, can I email this to you so I don't have to worry about it getting,
Thank you.
you know, lost or whatever? And she said, absolutely, and we just arranged it like that.
Thank you again.
Thank
Very
you
good. Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Pleased to meet you.
Thanks.
You wanna crack that door?
Oh, you want me to open it? No. You don't even know.
Yeah. Not usually doing.
Fair enough for you?
Welcome, welcome.
You must feel the heat a lot more than I do.
Yeah. I think I swear it's not working up there.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad.
Hi, I'm Bill.
I'm Bill. I'm Nicole. I think you
I'm
all
Dakota.
know me. I think you all know me from Rockies.
Yes. Have a seat.
Thank you.
So I'm not the only one that's in there every day almost.
It's a very
You
lucrative
guys,
business.
You guys
It's
are all very
such
familiar
in.
faces.
I want to go on record that I'm responsible for paying for the addition to that building over the original.
Yeah,
They were supposed
he
to
is.
build the big one.
Yeah, they're counting on me.
Okay, keep going. Hurry it up, huh?
Yeah, our 6-year plan has to be sped up a little bit.
What we want to convey to you is, we're interviewing a few people tonight, and we've allocated approximately a half an hour for each interview. We certainly are not, we can't make a decision in only a half an hour interview, we just want to get to know the people who are applying.
Right.
So I want you to be aware of that.
Okay.
There is somebody else coming at 6, so we're going to try and be done by approximately 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And this is the ad that I think you might have seen.
Yes.
And even though there's 2 jobs in there, this office only ever hires 1 person at a time.
Okay.
And it's you either hire somebody with a clerk who does not have the education to be the assistant assessor, and the goal is to move them up to assistant assessor as they become more educated in what the assessing does by taking some courses.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a 1-person office, just so you're aware of that.
Okay.
And so our goal tonight is to kind of tell you a little bit about what happens here and what goes on, and ask you some questions about your experience. But also in the end, we want to give you an opportunity to ask questions to us.
Okay.
And by no means are we making a decision after tonight.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to have second interviews with.
Exactly.
Okay, just so you're
Yeah.
aware of that.
Yes,
I don't
thank
want you to think you're being cut short.
Yeah. No, I understand. Thank you.
Okay. Rocky's Ace Hardware. Do you work in Springfield?
I work in the South Hadley office.
And where's the office in South Hadley?
It's
the store.
Newton Street.
I know where the store is. I'm in there
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
That's where she
Yeah,
works.
I'm in the South Hadley location. I'm the cashier. I usually ring you guys out.
Oh, okay.
He's
Okay.
seen you, he just
Okay.
doesn't.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. When it said backup key holder, I thought you had some sort of an office position.
No, that just means I am the backup manager when the manager goes to lunch,
Okay.
basically.
Okay. And you've worked there.
Yeah, it's
6
almost 6 years.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
What attracted you to this job?
Actually, Greg came in and we were talking and he thought I would be a good fit for the position, and honestly, I've been at Rocky so long, I kind of got complacent there, and everyone used to always joke, oh, you're gonna be there till you die, so it was kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, but once
Fair
Greg
enough.
gave me the opportunity, it made me realize that I've been stifled there and I really want to take the chance and move on and move to something more challenging and stimulating.
Okay.
So you were. Oh, I lied. Never mind. You're good.
My turn.
Your turn.
The assessor's office, you're looking at it right now.
Okay.
We maintain the database for the town of Granby, and we handle all of the excise tax which has to do with motor vehicles for anyone in the town. There's a blue binder over there that is our Bible for explaining how to do the various tasks, the daily tasks, the monthly tasks, the seasonal tasks, and the yearly tasks that are involved in this office. What is involved, and I'll say this because I said it to the woman that came in before you, nobody ever grows up being an assessor. It is something that you have to learn. Every town does it a little different, but nobody comes through any school system knowing how to be an assessor. Being an assessor is a hands-on learning experience in addition to schooling that we send you to. And we base our compensation for that primarily based on the proficiency of the person in this office and the courses that they pass, with the ultimate goal that hopefully by 3 years, but certainly not much sooner than 3 years, you will be qualified to be an assessor's clerk or an assistant assessor at its own wage scale. But it generally takes 3 years to learn this.
So it's 3 years of training and the
Yes.
schooling? Okay.
Yeah, you'd be working while you're being
Yeah,
trained.
you're
Yeah.
actively in the office.
Okay.
And pre-COVID, we would send somebody to UMass for a week every August. They went to remote learning this year, and I don't know if they're going to get back to hands-on learning. Hopefully they do. But we have all the resources, as the state has to provide it to all of us, is primarily trying to get every assessor's office on the same page.
How would your current boss describe you?
Some days he would describe me as overachieving because I kind of push him to do things that he doesn't like to do sometimes. But we have a very good relationship, and he counts on me for a lot of things. When I first got there, there was something called a mango report, which is the inventory counts for the month.
No fruit included?
No, unfortunately not. And each store is graded on 0 to 100%, and our store was consistently getting 11%, 12%, 15%, and it was mostly the manager's job to go through each month and count everything. And I didn't like that our store was being seen as underachieving and on the bottom of the barrel like that, so I took it upon myself to start doing the reports, and now 6 years later we're mostly in the 90s to the 97s each month, and he really appreciated me taking the time to do that and taking
Well, it
the
benefits
initiative.
him.
Yeah, and it makes him look good, so he likes that.
So Don and Jonathan, are they your actual bosses, or they just?
No, they were assistant managers. John Martin is my manager now.
Okay.
How would you handle an instance where you would receive criticism from a superior?
I would take a step back and listen to what he said or she said and think about what I needed to do to reverse that and see if it was fair or not, and then take the next steps to either fix it or try and talk with them about what I can do differently.
Proactive. That's how I describe that.
I try to be. I don't like letting things just sit. I like to work through things.
This is, if we haven't said it clearly, this is a one-person office. So whoever is working here, there's other people in the building, and there's other offices in the building, but this is a one-person office.
Yes.
How would you feel about working by yourself?
As long as I have set clear guidelines for what I need to do, I would be fine being able to do that.
Okay. This office is open to the public 27 hours a week. Basically 9 to 6, Monday through Thursday, and then 9 to 12 on Friday. And then we also have meetings every other week as a board, and you would be expected to attend those. And those meetings, normally, we try and do it every other week on Monday. And I'm gonna say they normally last anywhere from half an hour to an hour and a half. They can fluctuate that much. But whatever they last, you would be paid 2 hours for coming into those meetings.
Okay.
Just so you know that.
Okay.
That's the minimum you're paid. And I just want to point that out to you.
Okay.
And
That's good because we're not really paid for the meetings we have at the store after
Correct.
hours.
Correct. Welcome to governmental
Yeah.
employee.
yeah,
But at the same time, and I have to do this only because I'm coming to do this for all the applicants, we have a pay scale that we have to follow. Whoever comes in this office, because they don't know anything about the assessor's office, they would be paid at a pay scale of a grade 3 with a little bit of variation. The minimum of our pay scale is $16.97 an hour. And as you progress through the learning curve, we get to adjust that. As long as we can justify it to the town administrator.
Right.
And it is pretty fair, but it's, and I'm only saying this because I said it to the other person, it's not on a par with every other town. But it's the best that we could do
Right.
because we're governed by the personnel board.
Right. It makes sense considering the size of the town
Right.
and the level of experience makes sense for the pay scale.
Questions for us?
So, how extensive is the training? What goes into that?
a lot of the training is literally on the job. There's a lot of computer work with this. So I guess that's a valid question to ask you. How do you like working on computers? Because there's a lot of data entry or doing things on computer because everything is stored on computer.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with the computer.
Okay.
I usually help out. You guys probably all know Bob at the store. You know Bob. I think you're his realtor. I usually help him out at the computer. I'm at the register and he'll call me over. Nicole, I need you to help me figure this out. So I run over and help him out.
Some of the training comes through going to classes that the Department of Revenue puts on. And that used to be every year. Now they're a little bit more frequent, and we would really encourage you to go to those. The town would pay for your tuition and for your traveling and your time up there.
Okay.
But it's really, it just helps you understand the different aspects we do here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And obviously there's a fair amount of communication with the public here. Because the office is open, so people don't come into the office, but they come to that bit where it's out there.
Yeah.
And, or they call on the phone, or we get mail or emails and stuff, and so it is relating to the public a lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with the public.
Okay.
Can you handle that?
Oh yeah. I think after working with the public in Rockies for 6 years, I can probably handle anyone. I like working with
pretty
people.
diverse group.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like working with people. I've gotten to know a lot of customers over the years, and I've gotten to get into actual personal relationships with them. I find out I ask them about their kids, I ask them about their weddings, we just talk, and you ask them the next time you see them, oh, how'd that go? And they like it. So
Yeah.
building personal relationships is important in that.
Okay. So that's the aspect of the training. It's not like somebody's going to be here with you 5 hours a day or 3 hours a day showing you how to do. Yes, they'll be to show you how to run for certain things, but some of it is just learning on your own.
Right.
Okay, just as long as you're aware of that. And as you're learning, as it probably is with every job, there's no foolish question. If you don't know how to do it, please ask.
Yeah, of course.
There's
The only one is the one unasked.
right. There is no foolish question. And obviously, because it's important for us to keep accurate records, because the records that we have is based upon what the assessed value of homes is, which obviously affects their taxes
Right.
and how much they pay for taxes. Do you
Let me,
go on?
to give you more information. Dakota is the newest member of our board. He recently got dragged into this office, and he's been invaluable, being all three of these positions are elected positions. We run for 3-year terms, and then we just roll it over because there aren't too many people storming the gates. And there's a lesson there, there's a serious lesson there. Not many people want to do this. The reason that not many people want to run for the assessor's office is that, according to state law, before you can run for re-election, you have to have had the education that no other town office or even office in the state requires.
Right.
Which is a unique requirement that town council has ventured the opinion that we could have fun throwing out the board. But it just ensures that we know what we're doing.
Right.
Our job is to establish a tax base that is 100% accurate. We're mandated to be within 10% of the property values of the town, the market value of the town. Now we have Dakota to help us get even closer to that. But once we get our tax base set, then the tax bills can come out and the town can function. Once the tax base is set, we close the books on that year and we operate off of that year to establish a new tax base. And that's the goal of this office, is keeping records and keeping the excise tax and the real estate taxes accurate. We're not as sophisticated as some offices, but that comes part and parcel of we know everybody in town,
Right.
and that
Small
has a lot
town,
to do
you would
with
know
making up for
everybody, yeah.
that makes up for it.
Is your job at Rockies, is it a full-time job?
Right now it's not. I started at full time, and then when COVID happened, they cut a lot of the hours, and
Yes.
then now it's more 30 to 35 hours a week.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So when you decide, so full-time to you would be 40 hours or more?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
according to Rockies, it's 40 hours or more.
Yes, yes, okay.
But
Okay. But even at 30 or 35 hours, that's slightly more than what you would be working here, just so you're aware of that.
okay.
I mean, it's somewhere around, there's some fluctuation to it, depending upon the person's need and what the office needs. But it would be in the 30-plus range, but it would not be, never be 40 hours,
Okay.
just so you're aware of that.
Yep.
I want to be real with you.
Okay.
You would, however, get benefits.
Yes, which is what I was not getting there. Which would be helpful.
Any other questions for us?
So the Bible, it has the daily tasks. What are some of
We
the
know about the
daily
Bible.
tasks that we do?
The daily task is actually what Dakota has been wrestling with since this office is now vacant. The office is vacant because we had a person that we hired back from another town who got a job offer that was too good to pass up and went to a separate town. Daily tasks are bringing in excise taxes for motor vehicle and trailers, and then you have to enter a warrant, type up a warrant to present to the board to sign off on, where a copy goes to the tax collector and to the town accountant. Basically, all we do is keep track of money.
Okay.
And as long as those numbers and all the paperwork agree, that lets this office develop a recap sheet, which establishes all the money available to the town in order for our Board of Selectmen to decide on a tax rate. The primary goal of this office is to come up with that information so that every December, the Board of Selectmen can come up with a tax rate.
Right. Take the information
we have-
from the year and then set it for the next year for the tax rate.
We have Proposition 2.5, which limits the tax levy that we can assess, or that we can tax off of. All new construction and property improvements and the market rate are what we call new growth.
Okay.
And throughout the year, we have to keep track of that in order to come up with that number in December. And that's a mouthful.
Very much so.
And On a daily basis, we have real estate agents demanding a field cut. So they can, do their work.
We're the only ones? someone else you forgot to mention?
Appraisers, let's
Oh,
not
there you
forget
go.
appraisers. We almost love appraisers, but only almost. Everybody on the planet. You could have somebody sitting at home looking at MLS. Their home might be in Florida. They're gonna call you up and they think that we can provide them with a field card at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And any request is not urgent, but to them it's urgent.
Right. Everybody thinks they're the most
Yeah.
important person
Yes.
in the world. I'm well aware of that.
A lot of the things we do in here are time sensitive. That doesn't mean they're gonna be done in 24 or 48 hours, but many things have to be done within a week or two. Just so you, I mean, and we'll teach you that, but I
Okay.
just want you to be aware of that.
Okay.
Sometimes you just can't let things sit forever.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff at Rockies, that we get reports that we have to be done in sets that it's not as important as tax stuff, but when they say the Christmas set has to be put up in a week, we get done and we get our hands dirty, we
Right.
put it up in a week. So
Right.
I'm good with deadlines.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I just want to tell you, we're interviewing 4 people tonight. We're obviously not going to make a decision.
Right.
You can't make a decision interviewing somebody in half an hour. We're just trying to get to know people a little bit. And we will contact you back to see whether we want to interview you again or not. But you'll hear from all of us. You'll hear from us probably within a couple of weeks
Okay.
at the most. And so I just don't want you to think that we've forgotten you if you haven't heard from us in a few days.
Okay.
But you will hear from us for sure. And this is just kind of a preliminary thing. We will have some people back in for a second interview and just talk more things.
Right.
I just want you to be aware of that.
Okay.
Because it is kind of a short period of time. But
Exactly.
it's to try and help us put some information together along with the resume that you sent in.
Yes.
I just want you to be aware of that.
Okay.
And to introduce people to the office.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows.
Right.
And even now, the breadth of the duties of this office have not been represented well. Dakota can represent it better than anybody in this room right now.
Do you plan on leaving where you currently are if you were offered the position here?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would give a 2 weeks notice and then I'd be
Of
able
course.
to work as soon as that's up. 'Cause I've been there for 6 years. I could never leave them high and dry.
Oh, we wouldn't want you to
Right.
anyways.
Right.
Yeah,
No.
that's happened a couple times in the last couple months, and
Sure, it's not
it's
pretty
not
for the
fair
other
to
side.
anybody else who's left
No, I
over.
agree.
So I would
Right.
never do that.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just-
And just so as you're clear, with the experience you have right now, you would be, I believe you'd be starting somewhere in the neighborhood of $16.97 an hour for 27 hours. And the 27 hours is variable because there's a learning curve, and based on the learning curve, everybody comes in, we are allowed more hours than that. But once the office gets established, 27 hours is a decent number of hours to be open to the public, and then the 2-hour meeting. Just so you're aware.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that you're aware of what kind of dollar amount you would be stepping into right up front,
Yes.
vis-a-vis anyone who's coming in off of a 40-hour-a-week job.
Right.
If you don't have any other questions for us, I just want to thank you for coming in.
Thank you all.
And I really appreciate you coming in and meeting you.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'm amazed.
Greg will walk you out.
I was amazed that Dakota was Bob's real estate agent.
Bob loves Dakota. He talks about Dakota all the time. Have a good night, you guys.
Have a good
You
one.
too.
Thanks
Thank
for-
you.
And look at you. Beautiful night. Huh? Don't you think? This is way better than, whatever else.
Maybe it's because of the mask, I don't know.
Welcome. Greg.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
We have this grilling session. It's really pretty torturous. We're going to introduce you to the fine world of assessing.
Okay.
And see if we can scare you. Welcome to the
Hello.
Assessor's
Hello.
Office and the Granby Board of Assessors.
Hi.
Hello,
Hello.
I'm Bill.
Hi, I'm Jen. Nice to meet you.
So you know Dakota.
Never met him before.
Never heard of, that's a good thing, you know.
Apparently all these people know me tonight.
That's crazy. Welcome. The purpose
We're
of
glad
this
to have
meeting
you.
is to overwhelm you with the specifics of the Board of Assessors clerk position. My pat, and it's as true as it's ever going to be, and it's always no one ever grows up to be an assessor. You can't go to school for it. Over and above stepping into this office and learning it on the fly. We have an extensive program, as every other office does, to throw someone into the mix and teach them and have them learn the job on the fly. We have this office entails a lot of day-to-day stuff dealing with the public for excise taxes, real estate taxes, real estate values, and we have a blue binder over there that covers virtually all the duties of this office. Over and above, huh?
In depth and how to do it.
In depth, how to make it happen, how to produce forms to take care of the tax base for the town of Granby. In addition to that, and I'm really trying to get you to understand what we're doing, we send people to school once a year, and throughout the year, a school set up by the State Department of Revenue. Pre-COVID, we would send people up to UMass for a week-long seminar, where they would learn the theory and the actuality of the practices that this office gets involved in day to day. To the extent that after about 3 years, you would be, assuming you passed all the courses, and that's a pretty decent assumption, you would be eligible to be an accredited assessor. And based on that, we have a completely different pay structure for an assistant assessor. And I think I might have put the cart before the horse, but
Yeah.
that's because I just
You
jogged around.
explained it well.
It's because he's been waiting to talk all night.
As you probably realize by reading that ad, there's actually 2 positions in there, but we only ever fill 1 position at a time here. And it's usually the clerk's position we fill first because it requires less education in terms of assessors. But our goal is whenever we hire somebody as the clerk, is for them to take the courses and pass the courses to become an assistant assessor. And just like Greg said, they're on 2 different pay scales. So I just want you to aware of this is a one-person office.
Right.
So that's one of the questions I think all of us would ask you. How would you feel working in a one-person office?
Oh, completely comfortable.
Okay, just
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
Some people like it and there may be people that don't.
Oh yeah, no, I would be completely.
Okay, there's other offices in this building, town clerk, health department, tax collector, but in this particular office, there would only be 1 person working. And I just want you to I want to make that clear and make you aware of it.
Thank you. Yes. No, and I would be completely comfortable.
It's not like we're looking for 2 people. We have 2 levels of entry and 2 levels of work, but we only have 1 person in the office. Okay. A couple other things just to convey to you is the hours basically are 9 to 3 Monday through Thursday, and then 9 to noon on Friday. And then we have a meeting every other week, usually on Monday night. And the meeting can last anywhere from half an hour to an hour and a half. But it doesn't matter how long the meeting goes. We would expect the clerk to be here with us, and they get paid for 2 hours. Just so you're aware of that.
Okay.
That's part of the expectation in terms of the hours.
Okay.
And like Greg says, it's not set at 27 hours it's possible to work a little bit longer than that, particularly during the learning process. There are because it's over 27 or more hours, you do get all the benefits of being a full-time employee for the town of Granby, which includes health insurance, paid holidays, sick time, personal time, things like that, and which is all determined by the personnel board. So I just want you to be aware of all of that. So when the person who's in this office is either on vacation or not here, a sign goes up on the door out there and just says the office is closed today, and then when that person comes back, they get whatever has been taking place here. We on the board of assessors, the code is maybe a slight exception because it's really jumping in, but most of the things we do is in the field. We work in the field, and we're not full-time at all. We're elected officials, and we on the board, and then we do work in the field and bring information in about homes and stuff like that. So just so you understand a little bit of the dynamic of what goes on here.
Okay.
How do you like what you do?
In real estate?
Yes.
Oh,
Do you have any dirt on?
Oh,
That's
oh,
what
good.
that's what he's getting.
Oh, good. No, I have to, I love.
pass the paper across the table.
I love my job. I really do. I love working with people, and I'm an introvert, so it's totally like not something I thought I would love, but I really,
Okay.
I love my
Really? I
clients.
didn't know that. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I love my clients. And
Okay. How I noticed you were in insurance before.
Yes.
You like it better than being in the insurance.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Now the insurance was in an office though, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. How are you going to feel coming back into an office if it's here?
That's a good question. I mean, I'll be comfortable with it.
Okay.
I mean, I like the, you know, the changing aspects of real estate, but, you know, I did the office thing for years and years, and
Okay.
that's comfortable to me too.
Okay.
And I didn't hate it at all. You know, it just.
I understand.
Yeah, it was.
I understand.
I worked with my mom too, so.
Okay. I mean, you might have done it just to do something different because you've done it for 7 years.
Right.
I can't see how anything could be
That
more
makes-
fun than doing
that
this
makes
for
perfect
everyone's
sense.
home.
Okay.
What attracted you to this job?
I love Granby. So I lived in Granby for years and years.
Really?
Yeah, I lived on Center Street.
You're a city girl, but
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I love Granby, and I like people. And, you know, real estate too. I mean, because it is sort of intertwined, you know.
Definitely.
Okay. I see you were a teacher for a few years.
Yes.
You'd like that?
I loved it. But when I had my first, so it was early childhood education, which
Yep.
doesn't pay anything, just in
Right.
case you know.
Right.
So when I
but
had.
you get to help people.
Right. And it's fun, right? No, it really was fun. I loved it. But when I had my first child, it didn't make sense to. I could have brought her there and literally worked to pay for her to
Okay.
be there. So
Okay.
it just didn't.
Family first.
Yeah.
So to expand on this office, thus far, most of the people we've interviewed are under the impression that this is a lot of real estate. I would say probably as much as half of the work that we do is with real estate. And the other half is with motor vehicle excise, and chapter land applications, exemptions, veterans exemptions, elderly exemptions. And what we do throughout the year is develop a database where the state, after we've done developing a database that the state will certify, we can take that database and enter it into a form that we can take to the Board of Selectmen every December, and they can end up setting a tax rate. Once they end up setting a tax rate and we submit that to the state, and everyone has the audacity to say that's fine, that's a lock for us. That's the goal. that we have for that year. And once everybody agrees on that tax base, we can virtually take 2 or 3 years ago and just forget about it. This is the tax base that we have, and now we are working off this tax base to change it for the coming year. And our goal is to produce the numbers that our town can levy taxes off. And that gets heavy-handed in paperwork, but it's the way the state requires us to do things. I don't know if that helps clarify it. I mean, it's not,
Or makes your head
it's
hurt.
not exclusively real estate.
Correct.
And some of this,
But it gives a good mix of variation.
yes, yeah.
A
And
lot
I'm-
of clerical stuff and finance, not to cut you off.
No.
But there's a lot of stuff that, I don't think it's safe to say that there's not one applicant you interviewed that won't be schooled,
Yeah,
put through
And I'm-
schooling rather.
And I'm 100% willing
Yeah.
to.
and I just
The
The
want
good
to
thing
make,
now is
I
that,
just want to make sure that, you know, if somebody says, well, Jesus, and some of it feels like you're doing a lot of repetitious stuff. That's a fact. I mean, we have people that, when interest rates dropped and everybody decided to trade in their vehicle, this office got hammered with excise abatements ad nauseum. And then it stops for a year until it starts over again. I hear about a chip shortage in manufacturing field. I'm thrilled. I am absolutely thrilled. That works for me.
because you're processing stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Last signature on your behalf, yeah.
Fortunately, I'm a mother of 3, so the repetition.
Yeah,
that-
exactly.
It's pretty normal.
God bless you. God bless you. You're looking at a couple of proud grandparents.
Oh,
It is so much easier, turns out.
imagine that.
Another thing I want to convey to you is that we're interviewing 4 people tonight, and we're certainly not going to make a decision. You can't do it in a half an hour of talking with people. And so what we're doing is trying to get a sense of who you are and what you like to do, and what potentially you could bring to the office. And so there's going to be second interviews, and so we'll be getting back to you. So I want you to know that. It may take as much as a couple of weeks to get back to you.
No problem.
But don't, if we haven't got back to you in a week or 5 to 7 days, don't worry about it.
Okay.
We will get back, and we will be having second interviews. We're doing this just to get to know everybody and put a face with it, what was been sent in. I just want to explain that to you.
Thank you.
Because, like I say, a half an hour, you can't make a decision. Nobody can. You can't probably make a decision, and I know we can't. So I just want you to know that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
I guess the ideal candidate would really be self-motivated and be able to perform tasks inter-office. And I'm going to say this lightly because I've been doing it.
Right.
In a proper manner or timely manner, fashion rather. Some days you'll come in here and you'll have piles of work to do. Other days you'll come in and you're always doing something, but the influx, I guess, is pretty irregular.
Right.
Of just processing stuff and input and exemptions, and I mean the list can go on, but I think that it's definitely interesting. I mean, I like
Right.
it.
And
But
everything in
it's
this
definitely a learning curve.
Yeah.
It's going to be it is for me, so I know a lot of people are going to have that learning curve. But the good thing is the schooling is online now, I think.
Yeah.
Greg would rather in person, but if you ask him, he's also anti-computer. So that's a perk in my eyes for any candidate. But
Yeah, before, when we first got on, none of it was online. And it probably is. And so, actually, typically, the online courses involve their own test before you can move on to the next segment, which they didn't have before. And I haven't had a chance to partake of that, but that in and of itself has to be helpful.
And the town will pay for your courses. I want you to know the town will pay for your time going to the classes, whether the classes be here or whether the classes be at UMass. The town will pay for that.
Okay.
I just want you to know that. And if you have to go to Amherst, they'll also pay for your travel.
Okay.
That just comes with the job.
Great.
But it is also expected that you, when the courses become available, you will take them. And because Dakota just got on, he hasn't started taking the courses yet, but Greg and I have, you did start?
Yeah.
Okay. Greg and I have taken the
Second
course.
assessment, like you
And,
said.
and it's basically so that, not that we're gonna do it every day, like the person who sits in this office is, but we've taken the courses just so we have a better understanding of what's going on. But we have taken the same courses that the person who's gonna be sitting in that chair will have is taking, just so you know that.
As required
Yeah.
Yes.
by the state.
One thing you would like is we have practically every other Monday off, same as schools. That's pretty handy.
I mean, every other Monday off.
It feels like every other Monday from somebody outside looking in.
Is that what happens when you?
It's pretty
Graduate
close. It's like
high school.
11, and every 11 days, for God's sakes, that they have a day off. It's really pretty ridiculous. Of course, South Hadley just reopened their schools, didn't they?
Yes, my kids actually go to Amherst schools.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Amherst High?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Amherst High and middle school.
Okay.
My oldest is in college.
No, sir.
Yes.
Well, you have a child when you're 12?
Yeah. Oh, I like you.
Where do they go to college?
Mass Art in Boston.
Okay. I would not have guessed that, ever. Ever.
Thank you.
And literally, the explanation that I bring is that you can't even imagine what being an assessor in this office. Unsupervised. We fall under the personnel board's authority, and the town administrator is the chair of the personnel board. When this office is open, we're expected to fill this. When this building's open, this office is expected to be open at the same time. And if that doesn't occur, then we have to call down to the town administrator and let them know for whatever reason, and we're really quite flexible. If this office is empty, we put a note on the door saying this office is empty, whatever mail gets received by some of the other clerks in this building, but whatever work is piling up while somebody's gone, we'll be sitting there until they get back.
Return.
As
Just like
Dakota
everywhere.
can attest to.
Dakota just came back from 10 days of
Heaven.
You could say that, I guess.
It's,
Not
that's
what I
close.
picture as heaven, but it's close enough, I guess.
Do you have questions for us? Because we've just overwhelmed you.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that I will. None in
We
particular.
haven't scared you.
No, definitely not.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, work-wise?
Absolutely still in real estate, and hopefully here.
Awesome. The one thing I'd like to just point out to the board is the length of employment. Obviously, you know, you've been reading it yourself, but
I'm pretty loyal. I think that.
So, do you have any questions concerning the compensation of this office?
That would be curious,
Yeah,
because I have no
yeah.
idea.
I don't like people leaving here without knowing that. Do you want me to handle it?
Yeah, well, I'll tell all the benefits.
Okay.
There is health insurance. The town, I think it's 64% the town pays, and the individual, it can be either an individual or a family plan. They'll pay the same percentage for each one. And then there's I believe it's 11 or 12 paid holidays. It's the standard holidays. There's some personal time, there's some sick time, and that's all standard written in the personnel bylaws. And that applies to anybody working 27 hours a week or more. So it would apply to the person working in this office. From my perspective, the health insurance is very good health insurance. It's Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Great.
I'm not gonna agree with that.
It's but that's the benefits and I've never heard people ever complain about the benefits that are offered. Greg will tell you about the pay
In
rate.
terms of the hourly wage, anyone walking in that door to fill this position is eligible for a grade 3, step 1 level of pay, which is approximately $16.97 an hour.
Okay.
As they progress through the educational process, we can adjust that pay rate through the different step process until typically after 3 years, and certainly not before 3 years, but generally around 3 years, you would be increased to a different grade level. You would be leaving step 3 and entering leaving grade 3 and entering step 5 at the minimum step 1 after you've fulfilled all the schooling. And typically that takes 3 years. And really, realistically, you need to know the database for approximately 3 years as it revolves in order to really own it. But that's what we're based on. We're not we do not compensate as well as some communities, but we're not as busy as some communities.
It gives you time to learn too.
Yeah.
And it would be an inactive position. When I say inactive, would be not active. A active position while learning. So you'd be in the office taking care. I mean, it's just minor. I shouldn't say major, minor. Or I guess it's personal preference. The day-to-day activities, and then also in the field, learning on the computer, depending on the situation of that time.
No one ever comes through that door knowing how to do this job. And after 3 years, you know most of it, but knowing something in order to pass a test is different than knowing something like
100%.
Dakota knows the real estate in Granby. You're not going to learn that on a test.
Right.
No different than Greg building a deck in Granby.
Right.
The instructions say we should do this.
But it's a great position for a mom. It really is. And that was, although we're running out of mothers, we really are. It's a tough position to sell, and the motor vehicle can be overwhelming in the repetitiveness. Taking pride in the detail of data entry that is perfect. It's hard to find somebody like that. And we hope that you might be one of them, and we'll have to explore that. Is about the best I can say it.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. Because not all the customers that walk through that door are as sane as me.
Well, in real estate, that's the case too.
Right.
And then also the
Right.
insurance agency. No one's
Yeah.
really ever happy coming in there either. So.
Nobody ever came into an insurance agency saying, thank you, by the way.
Take my money.
What a great rate.
For the record, I thank my insurance agent all the time.
My best friend owns an insurance agency, and I've never thanked her. Oh,
But-
safety is so special. Really? Any other questions for us?
I don't think so.
I don't think you have a clue what we're talking about. But as long as you know the hours of the office, you're comfortable working on your own. This building has 3 other people that work in it. 2 of them are elected officials. And as elected officials, they do not have a boss. Elected officials are a whole nother animal. And the other person works for the Board of Health, and she's part-time. This is the only office that is not elected that is considered full-time at 27 hours a week. And that's all I've got for you so far.
Well, thank you for having me in.
So, nothing undecoded yet? Is that what you're telling me?
Dakota, leave the room.
Yeah, I can shut the camera off.
We love Dakota.
Oh, I'm not buying that one. We love Dakota now too because he's in
Really,
there.
I do too when I do the job.
That's right. All right.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming in.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
having me. It was great meeting you guys.
And you'll be hearing from us.
Okay, great.
Thank
I
you.
hope so. All right.
Greg will walk you out.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Dakota.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
That's my first. Leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, young lady.
You obviously know her from work.
I've known all three candidates.
You what?
I've known all three candidates.
Really?
Well, they've known me rather, put it that way.
Is from
Come
work?
on in. We're having a
Not all from work.
Just in general.
Oh, good.
I don't know how much interaction you have at work with other agents, that's why I'm asking.
Oh, yeah, well, that one's
Yes!
from work.
That's what we do.
Oh, is this on camera?
It is.
Yes,
Oh
we
my
have
God.
to do open meeting.
Oh, smile.
I mean,
You're
we're
live.
happy,
You
we're
gotta
happy
smile.
to do open meeting.
I'm Dakota, how are you?
Welcome to the
How are
Board of
you?
Assessors.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, how are you?
Good, and you?
Good.
As you may or
Welcome, Catherine.
may not know, we're having 4 people come in tonight, and we're spending approximately a half an hour with each one. Obviously, in a half an hour, you can't make a decision. I mean, you can't, neither can we. We're just doing it to put a face with what we have on the paper that was sent in. And you'll be hearing from us in, a week and a half after this. But I just want you to know everybody's getting approximately a half an hour.
Okay.
And so we're going to explain some of the things that go on with the job, and then we're going to ask you if any questions you might have. One thing I want to really convey to you is, this is obviously the ad that you saw, and it talks about 2 different positions in here, a clerk and assistant assessor. We only have 1 person in the office at a time, and we don't have 2 people, but there is 2 different layers or levels of employee here. The clerk is the entry-level position, and if somebody has the right education in taking assessor's courses, then they can apply as the assistant assessor. But anybody who becomes a clerk, we encourage them to take the courses at UMass and online to become the assistant assessor. In fact, they would be greatly encouraged to do that. And it's 2 different levels of pay, and obviously the assistant assessor is a higher level of pay. I just want to explain that to you, and have you realize that even though there's 2 positions there, this is a 1-person office.
Okay.
Just so you're aware.
All by your lonesome.
Oh, really?
Yep. I mean, we are
Practically in
active.
charge.
You gotta tell yourself what to do.
Oh, no. No adult supervision?
Yeah, exactly, huh?
Facts.
So I just want you to understand that from the beginning, that it's a 1-person office. So when the person who's employed here is not in, there's a sign that goes on the door just saying that the office is closed for the day or the week or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Or
So
whatever
that
it
was
is.
right, yeah.
And obviously, it's relatively closed now while we don't have somebody in here until we get somebody. That's it. Again, I just want to explain that to you.
Okay.
Okay.
What attracted you to this job?
It sounds interesting. I mean, I don't really know.
Anything about it.
Right, I haven't taken any assessors classes,
Right.
but it sounds interesting.
No one else has either.
Nobody aims to be an assessor.
Oh, you just stole his line.
That's the only line I've got.
There's no classes in school, whether it's high school or college, to be an assessor. The only classes that I'm aware of is the Department of Revenue in the state of Massachusetts has a set of classes for people who want to work in the assessing field. So you're right, there are no classes.
How many classes are there at UMass that you take to
I believe
move
it's
into
6.
6 classes?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe
I think a class is
But
compiled
it's
of
a week-long
multiple
course. Yeah.
Oh,
assessments
oh,
in
oh.
between.
Oh, okay.
They're a week-long course, and then on Friday, there's a test or an exam to pass. And in the past, they've always been held in August. And so it's either the first or second week in August, you want to kind of we save that time to go up there. And for each of us, we have to take the first course or the first class and pass it in order to be eligible to be reelected to this position. We don't have to take further ones, but it's beneficial for us to do that so that we understand more of what's going on in the office. And so, but for people who work in the office, it's just very beneficial to keep taking classes because they just can rise up in terms of their level and their ability to do things. But they're at UMass in the summertime.
Okay.
The classes given by the state are designed to make everyone in the state doing the same thing. And surprisingly enough, they're not doing the same thing. This position is a 9 to 3 position, Monday through Thursday, and 9 to 12 on Friday.
Okay.
Every other, typically 2 Mondays a month, we meet at night, where the office is technically open to the public to have meetings to handle the paperwork and sign the paperwork as a Board of Assessors that this office generates. And you would be required to come to and attend that meeting, give us the paperwork that we have to sign, and it involves abatements either being approved or not being approved, being denied, and that is the crux of what we as elected officials have to deal with on a scheduled basis. So typically those meetings at night last anywhere from the shortest being a half an hour to longer being upwards of an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, but you would always be paid for 2 hours for coming in that evening. It's typically at 7 o'clock, but we've been varying it based on personal needs of any of the board members. Bill and I have been, just to make sure you're aware of it, Bill and I have been on the Board of Assessors for over 20 years, and Dakota has been learning more than what we know right now in the past couple of months. And he's been doing a hell of a job. But our familiarity with this town is something that is priceless. And Bill and I are pretty jealous of the fact that we managed to keep that up. I don't know how much longer it's going to occur, but wish us luck.
Yeah, right.
Were you from Granby originally?
I am.
Okay, that's what I thought. And I know I read it somewhere in here. I was trying to go through it, and maybe I didn't read it, but I thought I...
Am I allowed to ask maiden name?
Clark.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. As they go
Fair
out.
enough.
Well, it's important that we know. Bill didn't know that.
Didn't know what?
Her maiden
Exactly.
name was Clark?
Yes,
Oh, you did?
Are you
Yes.
good? You never told us.
it's right here.
Oh,
I can read.
Oh, that's a referral source. So, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, work-related wise?
Working.
Fair enough.
Working. I mean, if
Is there a reason you're leaving the current position that you're in, or want to leave?
I'm a little bored. A little bored.
Getcha, yeah.
It's a good place, but it's a little boring. And I don't
So
know.
you started at the beginning of the year?
Yes.
Okay.
And I heard about this and I said, I'll try.
What do you consider 2 or 3 of your greatest strengths working in an office? What can you do the best and what do you like to do?
I've always done well, except for the last few years, something accounting related. So I'm good with numbers,
Okay.
and I like to do that. I like to deal with people.
Okay.
Another one, huh?
So where you are now, are you in a back office, or are you open to the public where they come into directly?
They
They come in, but there isn't a lot of traffic.
Okay.
Right now, it's the people out, there are only about 20 people in the whole place, so they're out in the factory, and most of the, I think I'm the only woman there, maybe one other.
Really?
Yeah, one other woman, and most of them, because it's a foundry, they come in like 1 or 2 in the morning. They really make their own hours, especially in the summer because it's so hot.
Right, right.
So they're usually gone by noon, and they work 4 10-hour days, so nobody's there.
So you
on
find yourself
Friday.
talking to yourself.
I do.
You'd be doing that here too.
Except
I
for when
find
real
I get all the right answers when I do that.
Except for when real estate agents come to the door.
Yeah, or them appraisers.
Yeah.
Never swapping those builders.
Nobody
when they
likes
come.
them.
Those builders want to
Until
talk
we
to
need
you.
it. Until we need it. So Catherine, there's a blue binder right over there that is the Bible of this office. It covers all of the day-to-day stuff that needs to be done, all the week-to-week stuff that needs to be done, month-to-month, seasonal, and end-of-the-year stuff. It's our gold standard that while you're learning this job, that probably hasn't answered any question you have.
Okay.
Short of that, we call around to other offices. We interact with South Hadley quite a bit. We have a lot of motor vehicle excise abatements to process for people who are trading in their vehicles. And that involves having to produce a document that we turn over to the tax collector to either rebate or adjust the tax rate for that. We handle all veteran exemptions, elderly exemptions, infirmary exemptions, 61A chapter land, recreational land. And we keep track of this throughout the year in order that by December time, we can present the select board with a document which allows them to look at the tax levy base that we produce and decide on a tax rate. Once they do that and submit that to the state, within a week's time that gets approved, and that means all of our values are locked and we can move on to a new year. A taxpayer, by paying their tax bill, by the simple act of paying the tax bill, they agree to the value of their property. And once that occurs, it's a lock. There's really no good way for them to appeal that value, since you already paid a tax bill on it. Which gives us the opportunity to consider that's in stone and move on by keeping track of new growth, which is improvements people have made to the property through building permits, new construction, or just the market value of a home. I'm letting you know this so that you can better understand what you might be stepping into.
Okay.
The work you do now, is it primarily hands-on or more on the computer? Or I know you've done accounting in the past.
On the computer and some hands-on.
Okay.
What's the computer program that you're using now?
Ooh, good question.
I get one question, good question a week.
Yeah, I should know that. I don't.
All right, that's
It's
fine.
not an, it's some
It's not state of the art?
foundry.
It's not state of the art?
It is.
Is it?
It's pretty good, yeah.
Well, it
It's
could be
just-
custom,
it's
too.
Probably better than ours.
specifically-
It could be custom.
It's specifically for foundry.
Okay.
Geez, I'm pretty sure I paid that bill too. Why can't I remember?
That's fine.
Is your current position 40 hours a week?
It is.
Okay.
Are you looking for full-time?
I'd be fine with it was 30, right?
Yeah,
30.
it's
I'd be
primarily
fine with
27 to 30.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. What would I do with myself?
Get into trouble if you're a clerk.
Yeah, right.
Just so you're aware, the starting hourly wage is typically about $16.97 an hour coming through the door. And then it gets adjusted as the learning increases.
And that comes with benefits as well,
Oh, okay.
and vacation time, and Bill's gonna talk more about that right now.
Bill, do you want to touch on the benefits?
There's health insurance, and the town pays, I think it's 64%. It's good health insurance. There's obviously paid holidays, I believe it's 11 or 12 of them. There's personal time, there's vacation time, there's sick time, all very traditional and very, very fair in my opinion. And then obviously the pay, but the benefits I think are very comparable to other things around, very comparable to other things. Certainly very comparable to other municipalities and things like that.
But we can't have you leave this office here without knowing about the benefits that are available and what the wages are,
Okay.
so there's no misconception.
Okay.
And like Greg said, based upon the wages do go up. Not only yearly do they go up, but even in the first couple of years, they can go up during the year based as the individual learns more in the clerk's position. Just so you're aware of that.
Would be more of an active in-office position while learning the background of it. So now, they used to do them at UMass, but the trainings are actually virtual on the computer. So that's something that is either in your benefit or not in your benefit. And Greg would like it in person, and
Right.
I would probably rather in person too, though.
Exactly.
We don't lose interest as fast, I think. But anyway, so that's something that, you would do, or if it opens up again in person, you can go to UMass, given the opportunity to. If you were offered this job, would you currently leave where you are now?
Yes.
Okay. You say that.
Yes.
You're, you're thinking about that?
No. Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
I didn't want to go, yes.
You're that bored, huh?
Do you have any questions for us?
So how much do I deal with you? Like, do you also give me things to do?
In an ideal world, I do what the clerk tells me to do.
Most of the work we do is in the field.
Okay.
Because we go out and look at buildings homes that are being built. We go out and look at building permits to see what's being built, and then bring that document back so that, it gets entered into the computer. We do cyclical inspections, which means we go out and do approximately 250 to 300 homes a year and look at them to make sure our document is correct, and if we find changes, we bring it back, and then that gets entered into the computer. We don't sit in this office, none of us do. We're the ones that have to sign the documents, at the meetings on Monday nights and things like that. But there's most of that book has to do with doing the paperwork and the computer work here in the office. There are certain things that we learn in the courses up at UMass that have to do with field work, but in most assessors' office, the board only really signs things and makes the final decision. They hire either an outside firm or they have somebody in the office to go out and do all the field work. Granby just hasn't done it that way. When I first came on the board, I don't know, I think it's 18 years ago, I was told that's part of the job, and so that's what we do. And so we do mostly field work, just so you're aware of that. So to answer your question, there's very little in that book for us.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Because
guess
that mostly has to do with office procedures.
Okay.
the ideal candidate would be proactive, self-motivated. It's going to be, how do I put this lightly, a lot to learn and to jump right into it and go. A lot of it's going to be done on the fly until you really grasp the concepts or do the schooling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
So when Greg said we don't tell you what to do, we kind of, we do our own
We
thing.
help
We have
you.
we help you. We have our board meetings. if there's questions, you can call us, but to a degree, it's, self-motivated, self-learning.
And there's a lot of customer work.
So you get a lot of
There's a
people that
lot
walk
of
in,
customer
yep,
Oh, okay.
and then you deal with those appraisers, Greg loves them. And then, taxpayers in town, or they have questions, emails, phone calls, voicemails. And obviously the other elected and employees that are in the building along with you in different departments.
The position involves dealing with the taxpayers a lot, because they are coming in here or calling up wanting to know any question about their home or somebody else's home or anything. And they're all valid questions.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we have to respond as best we can.
Right,
And if it's not us, it's directing them to who can handle that
okay.
as best we can.
So, you know more once you take the classes, but are all the classes not till August?
I assume when they're online. you
When
can
I,
do it.
when I went through the
Oh,
classes,
okay.
they were only in August, and I took one class a year. And so it took me 6 years, but now that they're online, I think I'm pretty sure you can take more than one class a year. And I know you can, I think you can take two or three a year. But when I was when I went through them, I took 1 week off every year up to go to UMass to take the classes. The town will pay for the tuition, if you have to actually go to UMass, town will pay for your time, they'll pay for your travel. If you're taking the classes online, again, they'll pay for the coursework, they'll pay for your time, because you're an employee. They wouldn't pay me, because I'm not a full-time employee in the office. But they did pay for our tuition to go, but not our time. But because you're the full-time employee, they'll pay for both. And I would say they're similar to a college course, only they're jammed into a week.
Condensed.
And then there's an exam on Friday.
Oh, okay.
And you have to pass one in order to go on to the next one. They are sequential, and I believe there's 6 of them.
Okay.
That's a fair
Yes,
statement, the way it is.
and basically, like I say, the state is interested in all of us being on the same page.
And the state likes all the assessors' office in Massachusetts kind of doing the same thing. There's slight variations, but they don't want us running around doing different things. So that's where it comes from. That's a very good question you're asking, very good. And so this is basically a summary of the practical work that takes place. It's not a summary of the courses. I don't want to mislead you.
No, okay,
It's how to get things done,
Yeah.
not why.
And
okay.
Do what the paper says.
Well, that's good, it's a good idea what to
It's
follow.
none of the why is in there.
And each course deals with a certain segment of what takes place in this office.
Okay.
It does not attempt to, obviously, talk about everything that goes on in the office. It deals with a certain segment. And,
How would your current boss describe you?
I don't know.
Who is your current boss?
His name is Jim Galaska.
He's the owner of the company.
He
or he owns the-
owns the
yeah.
company, yeah.
And you've been working there how long?
Since January. I think he'd be okay with me.
Well, I hope so.
I know.
If you're still there.
I know.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions that you had for us before we,
So it's probably like part computer, part paperwork? Is
Yes.
everything?
yeah, a
Yes.
good majority. There's a lot on the computer, there's a lot in paper.
And this,
Processing.
everything in here is
This is our
all
office, yeah.
assessor related?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Alright.
filing, time stamping, processing.
We have some records that we have to keep for the state as required, and slowly the state is allowing us to keep digital records,
Okay.
and the state, as quickly as they can, they're dealing with municipalities that don't even have the resources that we have. You can't require people to have digital records if some offices don't even have digital.
Right.
So,
And all across the state, there's probably at least 4 different formats that the computers run on. completely independent of each other, based on the manufacturers of that software. And the software doesn't agree with each other ever.
Do you have a current boss or a immediate supervisor you answer to now?
It's the owner.
Okay. So he gives you tasks to do?
I have regular tasks. He may give me, he tells me what to pay in the check run, and
Okay.
he may ask me to do something special. And the people out on the floor, I also get the shipping paperwork ready and call for the trucks, which is something I never did before. That was
They're
fun.
happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
You again.
So, I mean, I deal with
Where
the
are
shipping
you?
people. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of trouble with that this
Yeah.
year.
Oh, yeah.
They
I
had
mean,
trouble getting drivers, so.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
I can't think of anything.
We will respond to all of the applicants.
This is just to get to know you a little bit, have you get to know us, put a face with your application.
Well, such as it is right
And to scare people as much as I can.
So when I'm sitting here, crazy question, do I have to wear the mask?
There's no crazy questions.
Do I have to wear the mask?
So as long as you're in the building, if you're interacting with other employee or other officials and or employees,
Yes.
anyone that comes in, but when you're in here yourself, I think it's pretty
So I
safe to
could
say that you can.
Pull it down and then pull
Yes.
it up?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, good,
Yeah.
good.
And that's handed down from the governor to Board of Health to us.
We
Whatever-
follow the guidelines.
Right, whatever unreasonable thing the governor says, it trickles down to an unreasonable thing that the Board of Health says, and we do it.
There was
That's
a
right.
short period of time this summer where we did not have to wear masks. And then when the increase continued, the local Board of Health, the Granby Board of Health required masks whenever you're in a building. And we just follow that.
That's good, okay.
And according to the I don't know if you guys are aware of this, according to the CDC, they're having an internal war over the fact that if you have 2 shots, wearing a mask is pretty much a waste of time. But they don't want to put that out, because nationally, because you can't pull that back after you do that. But that's what the science says.
Well, we thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you very
I
much.
know it was a great day to venture out and see us.
How many Clarks are there, for God's
Too
sakes?
many.
There are a lot of Clarks, I swear to God.
Well, not as many as there
Right.
used to be.
Boy,
Nice to meet you. You have a good night.
Nice to meet you too, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you for coming in.
Well, when Greg comes
We're
back,
gonna
I think we
adjourn the
can
meeting.
adjourn.
Yeah.
We've had a good night.
We're gonna adjourn the meeting and then we're gonna stop it.
Success.
I think it was a good night.
Motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.